With version 6.2's full banner lineup and the final kit preview of Durin, Genshin's meta is shifting fast. So it's time we sit and decide who are the best future options for us, and rank them in a priority list. So let's get started with Durin and his setups, as he's going to be the core of the future teams. Durin mainly has three major setups. The first being a Vape and Melt carry for your teams, where you run him with units like Riasli, Mono on field, Farina, and Mulani, teams that trigger Melt and Vape for maximum damage. Then, the second setup is his Overload and Burning teams, where he works as both an off-field damage dealer and buffer. For example, Kaniche Burning or Varesa Overload, where he outshines Mavwika massively, especially after the buff Fischl got. And the third setup is his Mono Pyro teams with Mavwika, Arlecchino, and even Line paired with Anemo units like Venti, who now looks just as strong as Kazuha in Arcane stage. This setup also looks insanely strong, as Durin provides up to 35% Pyro Shred, and you also get an additional 40% resistance shred from Venti and a 50% damage buff from him in Arcane state. Also, talking about the future, considering he is a Hexenzirkel member, and we are going to be getting multiple Hexenzirkel members in the future, Durin's value is immense. He will be as valuable as Xilonen was in version 5.2. He has huge potential to work with Varka as a Pyro sub-DPS, and things get interesting when we look at early leaks about a unit called White Adeptus, who is expected to be an Anemo support, releasing just before Varka. She could be an alternative, or even an upgrade to C6 Faruzan for Anemo teams. Seeing how Hoyoverse is marketing Varka as the premium DPS of nod-krai, the next meta team could be Varka, White Adeptus, Durin, alongside Columbina, buffing the team's elemental mastery and providing resistance shred. As we also know, White Adeptus is going to introduce Lunar Swirl. It's most likely she will be a dedicated support for Varka, and can also work with Columbina, activating Ascendant Gleam mode, as her kit will be related to lunar mechanisms, unlike Varka and Durin. At the same time, both Durin and Varka will unlock the Arcane stage, seeing Varka's origin and lore connection with the Hexenzirkel witches. If we think deeper about Columbina's actual role in the future meta, considering her recent leaks, she's looking like a dedicated off-field damage dealer and buffer for lunar reactions. She's not only going to buff the obvious nod-krai DPS characters, but is also expected to provide universal buffs like resistance shred and elemental mastery increase, making her extremely useful for older units that can benefit from these boosts. She can also provide healing, seeing how much Flynn's and Nefer teams lack a healer, or if Hoyoverse being Hoyoverse decides to give that healing role to White Adeptus, it could make her a must-pull unit, especially since she's likely going to be undersold due to her banner releasing in the same patch as Columbina. We need to talk about pull priorities, because they've changed a lot in just a few days, especially after the buffs to older units. Venti now provides a massive 50% damage bonus with his resistance shred, making him one of the most valuable characters in the entire game. So make sure you've already watched that breakdown video before this one. Let's start with version 6.2. It brings us Durin, Venti, Varesa, and Xilonen. Durin is going to be a must-pull character, as I already explained in his full build video. Coming to reruns, Varesa got a huge buff with Durin. She's now even closer to Skirk's premium level, and her F2P teams are absolutely broken. She's arguably the best free-to-play unit in the entire game. Her team with C0 4-stars like Bennett, Chevruz, and Iansan outdamages most DPS characters currently. Her premium teams, like Durin Overload setups, are among the strongest teams in the entire game. So yes, she's definitely a good pull. The only issue with Varesa is that her teams won't get much stronger after Durin's release. After around 4 to 5 patches, she might drop from top 3 to around top 6 or 7, but she'll still be a fantastic option if you lack an electro DPS. Then there's Xilonen. A lot of players are devaluing her after the nod-krai update, claiming her damage bonus is now useless, but that's simply not true. She doesn't personally provide a damage bonus, her artifact set does. You can easily swap sets. If you want Elemental Mastery, use Instructor, and if you want Attack, use Noblesse Oblige. She doesn't even need good artifacts. Even with level 0 gear, she performs identically, giving your team EM and attack bonuses while also providing broken resistance shred. Unlike Kazuha, who is restricted to Viridescent Venerer, Xilonen is not limited by any set. She can be used with Flynn's using Instructor, and even provides much-needed healing, something Flynn's teams desperately lack. Talking about the future, Mavuika is still the strongest DPS in the game, and even if Varka surpasses her later, she'll still remain the second strongest unit overall. Xilonen is also one of the best partners for Durin, fitting into the maximum number of team compositions. So don't get influenced by people undervaluing her. If you don't have Xilonen, you must get her. She's future-proof. Characters like Nicole, Alice, and even upcoming units will all benefit from her buffs. Then we have Venti. His only truly great teams are with Durin in Mono Pyro setups, where he actually outperforms both Kazuha and Xilonen, mainly due to his personal damage, which both of them lack. Other than that, he's still mid-tier, so if you want to play that specific Mono Pyro setup, then yes, he's a must. Moving to version 6.3, the obvious new unit is Columbina. We don't have the full lineup yet, but we can speculate, seeing past banners and leaks, that White Adeptus will also join her. Her top teams will likely include Varka and will synergize strongly with Flynn's. If she has healing capabilities, she could even be best in slot for Flynn's, especially with the new artifact set. Coming to Skirk and Escoffier, the big duo. Their value can range from S tier to not recommended, depending entirely on your account. If you already have one of them, then pulling the other is worth it, as they complete each other and form one of the strongest teams in the game. But I'd never suggest pulling both, or even one at this stage of the game, since they aren't receiving any buffs and don't synergize with any nod-krai units. You can still get Escoffier, since she works with Neuvillette and Ryasli, as she's genuinely strong, but not Skirk. Now for the Natlan reruns, Kinich and Mualani. Both are now neck and neck with Flynn's and Nefer after Durin's release. Although keep in mind, Flynn's and Nefer will get massive buffs with Columbina. So they're not exactly must-pulls, but yes, if you like them, they're incredibly strong with Durin and will remain relevant for a long time. I wouldn't recommend Chaska though. Even with Durin, she didn't receive notable buffs. Her team with Durin is way more complicated than it looks. It could match Kinich or Mualani levels if you manage to trigger every melt hit, but realistically, that's not consistent, so her performance ends up significantly lower. Then there's Citlali. She's one of the most versatile characters, working with both Durin and Mavuika, and even good with Mualani. But honestly, with Nicole coming soon, and even though we don't know much about her yet, I wouldn't call Citlali a must-pull for now. Now for the older reruns, Raiden, Neuvillette, and Arlecchino. All three of them received huge indirect buffs from Durin, making them relevant again. But their multipliers still fall short compared to newer units, so I wouldn't strongly recommend pulling them. That said, they're definitely not useless, especially after Durin. If you already plan to pull them, you can still make them work with the right setup. Finally, we have Varka, another must-pull unit. He's expected to be the strongest DPS by the end of version 6.5, or at least until Sundrone or Alice arrives. As mentioned before, he'll also have extremely good synergy with older units. I won't be covering Nicole, Alice, or Sundrone yet, since they're coming in the second half. But if you want a dedicated video about their speculated place in the future meta, let me know in the comments. I hope this video helped you, and don't forget to participate in the giveaway. More info in the description below.